on this computer. Okay. And Stuart, how long have you been painting for? Ever, practically?
No, I started about, I started painting about 20 years ago, a little bit less than 20 years ago. I had never done art. I had never been interested in art. And then at the end of 2000, I took a drawing class just on kind of a whim with at the Palette and Chisel with a really good instructor there. His name was Max Ranft. Max just passed away last week. But Max was a great guy, and he had a Tuesday night life drawing class. And I went to that life drawing class, you know, every Tuesday for like, I don't know, 9 years in a row. And during that time, I started doing watercolor. I started going to the open studios. I started trying oil paint. And then in about 2003 or 2004, I met, through the Palette and Chisel, I met Scott Tallman Powers and a couple of the people. Barbara, you and I were talking about that over the weekend on Sunday. And so we sort of formed a group and went out painting on Saturday morning. Scott Tallman Powers was the, you know, he was the guiding force. He was the moving force of that group. And we'd all paint, and then at the end of the morning, we'd all line up our stuff on the wall and go through it with one another, with Scott kind of guiding the discussion and helping us out. And I learned a tremendous amount doing that. And it just became more and more of a kind of obsession with me. And, you know, here I am. So I've been teaching at the Palette now for about 10 years. I have a Saturday afternoon class where it's basically drawing the portrait in charcoal or pencil. And I really enjoy it. It's the highlight of my week, but it makes it hard for me to get out on Saturday morning with the crew, this crew now. So I actually really appreciate you guys moving last weekend to Sunday where I could come out with you.
Stuart, do you still teach your figure drawing class or just portrait right now?
I shifted it over from the nude figure to the portrait. I made that change, I guess it was during the pandemic, after we resumed. So it's only been less than 2 years now, but for most of that time, it was the figure.
Yeah, I took your figure class. It was a great class. So.
Thanks.
Okay, so we can get started on the critique, I think, and you can share your screen, right?
Yeah. So I'm going to basically do the kind of thing that Scott Tallman would do back in the day, which is, you know, not, let's see, not a super extensive. Okay, but we'll just talk about each of these paintings. I think there's about 20 paintings to go through. And let's start with the first one. This is Laurie's, and I'm able to mark on it if I need to, you know, to illustrate. That's why this little menu is. Can you see this little menu of the annotations and stuff?
You actually can't see it from here.
Okay, okay. Maybe it's just on my screen. All right, so this is Laurie's image. You know what's really good about this is that it has the effect of sunlight, and you know, you get a strong sense of the light of that day. Now, what's the reason for that? Well, you know, if you look at this shadow in particular, or under here, you have this strong contrast, a sharp, strong edge there, right? That really says direct sunlight cast shadow. Okay, and then of course you have the highlights on the wagon here and on the ends of the little thing. And I mean, yeah, so it has a strong effect of sunlight. I think it could be stronger, and one thing that I'm noticing here is shadow, particularly this one, Lori, is pretty warm. I think that could be cooler and darker. Okay. The shadows made by warm light, such as sunlight, are going to be cool. Not blue and not ice cold, but cooler than you would otherwise get on say for an overcast day. So this shadow is cooler than this, right? This has more blue in it. This has it's more reddish in color. So that's something. The other thing I think you could do, Lori, is, and I don't, you're a little bit, I'm not sure what you were using for greens and stuff, but it seemed like there's an opportunity to go even darker back in.
Well, let me just mute somebody here. Hang on a second here. She's making too much noise. Okay. Sorry. So the greens could go darker?
Yeah. I mean, particularly down here, kind of at the, as the tree is kind of going under, and is that area could be considered as being sort of, the deep shadow under a tree or the interior of a tree. It's a little, this area is a little flat, in terms of value changes. It's all relatively the same value. You could probably go darker in there. Okay. These are really nice, lovely soft edges along here. That's really lovely. And then here, yeah, maybe some more value differential, cooler in parts, warmer in parts. That might help. One last thing, I think I don't know, but it looks, for some reason, it looks to me as if this line of perspective may be a little steep.
Yeah.
And it may be more like this. When it gets steep like that, it's going to indicate that you are either really short or sitting down, or this is like going downhill. So be careful about those levels and stuff.
Yeah, I noticed that like after I submitted it, I'm like, why did I make that so angled? It really
yeah, it's that angle running away from the viewer. Yeah, I don't think it's not going to be a huge differential, but just a little bit.
Yeah, a little tweaking. Okay.
I like this sharp edge too. I mean, there's a nice variety of edges in here, right? This one is sharp and contrasty. This one is kind of soft and less so. Say this one is softer, this one is sharper. So there's a good variety of edges in this whole operation down here. Careful about the temperature of the shadows, okay?
Okay. Thanks, Stuart.
Yeah, should we go to the next one?
Yep.
Okay, this is Robin's, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. This is a complicated subject, Robin, and I think you did well on it. I think you did really well. It works for kind of this complicated doorway and portico and winding staircase and balustrade. There's a lot going on in there. So architecturally, I think you got it, kind of nailed down. As I'm talking here, I'm noticing one thing in terms of the drawing, like the top of the, here, I have to annotate again. The top of this the balustrade here
Yep.
needs to be level with the top of the balustrade here. So, and this one looks a little short, right? In other words, that one could be coming down.
Okay.
I mean, just to match the other side.
Uh-huh.
Right, so that, I wonder if you could go darker on this area. You've got a nice kind of opportunity for that cast shadow on the on the wall here, which is kind of it's in the center of the photo. It would really highlight the fact that we're in sunshine. You've got some choices. I mean, because I don't know, is this a pillar, this thing?
Yeah, it's a pillar. I meant to do a little more and I didn't quite, but it just seems a little bland to me.
My question is whether this is round this way.
Supposed to be.
And if you were to make it round, in other words, the contrast between this and this would be less sharp, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then this shadow could be sharp. Right now, the pillar is this and then this are the biggest contrasts.
Mm-hmm.
You've got then this, which is a big contrast, but less so because the surrounding facade is not in sunshine. I don't know, I like how you've treated the windows. In other words, you're not trying to like detail everything here and so on. I like that, this is nicely done in kind of a summary fashion where you're not getting every single little space between the, what do you call those?
Banisters? I'm not sure. Whatever.
The posts there.
Uh-huh.
So you're getting some of them, but not all of them. I think that works well. Just a couple other things. You've got this kind of nice harmony of I don't know what color that is or what this is or what this is, but it's kind of a nice ochre-y, yellowy, sienna-like colors that work well. And then we've got this, what looks like ivory black, right?
That's it.
Now, ivory black is a very cool color. And when you add white to it, it goes very blue. And it's a little, it's very strong, as you can tell. This sign here really jumps out at you. Consider mixing your darks rather than using ivory black, I guess is what I want to say.
Okay. I sort of thought about, glazing it to give it a little more depth. I don't know, like the shadow and maybe the left side, left bottom side.
Right.
Yeah. What do you think of that?
Yeah, that could work. Check out what areas you want to make stronger, like this one, this one, right? Or up in here. Yeah. One final thing, this edge is pretty sharp, right? So
Yeah.
sharp, things that draw attention to themselves in a painting are going to be position in a painting, okay? Contrast in a painting, okay? Edge, color, right? Things like this, letters, or something recognizable like a person or something like that. So contrast, or so shape. So contrast, placement, color, edge, and shape are going to be all the things that draw attention in a painting. And right now we've got, kind of a bit of a competition here. We've got kind of strong chroma here, strong edge here, strong contrast here, recognizable lettering here. I would just, I think your painting could be stronger if you decided what one thing you want to, emphasize, and then have the other things kind of in support of that. So not equally as eye-grabbing as the main subject or the focal point.
Okay, that's very good advice. I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Mhm.
One on these architectural things like this,
Mhm.
I like this one better than this one because it's less, I guess this is a little symmetrical, right? So
Mhm.
yeah, this I like. This is lovely. And this, although it's just a kind of a, white shape, light shape, that works nicely.
Yeah, probably needs to be bigger. But thank you very much.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Okay.
But yeah. So yeah, careful about the ivory black and things like edges and contrast.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah. Kudos for taking on a tough subject like this.
I always do too much. I'm going to change that tomorrow.
Okay, good. All right, should we go to the next one?
Sure.
I think this is.
This is Mark. This is Mark.
Yeah, Mark's, yeah.
Hey, Stuart.
Hey, Mark. Wow. I'm gonna move this. So this is this is an architectural subject too, and again, really nicely done. So one of the things that I like about this is, when you're when you were laying in the name of the place here, it's not all equally strong. There's parts of it that are less strong, parts of it that are stronger.
Yeah, the whole middle of the sign was out.
Oh yeah.
And so I was trying to get it was a weird time of day too. It was late. So it was like part reflected off the light bulbs and part still daylight. So
yeah, right. So that's very challenging. But I think the temptation would have been to make it all equally strong and really scream out, Green Mill.
well, I'm glad you're telling me that because that's what I was thinking of doing. Yeah. So
Yeah, I wouldn't do that. When in line with kind of what we were, so in line with what I was just talking about with Robin is, shape, color, placement, edge, contrast. You've got a very oh, so this is a powerfully eye-grabbing
Uh-huh.
motif here in the middle of the painting. It seems to be what the painting is about. But we also have a very strong edge and strong shape with a relatively high contrast here, which is kind of a, you might want to, I wouldn't make it any darker, I wouldn't make the hole any lighter or the door darker, but maybe there's a way to, in one quadrant of that opening, make the edge kind of lose the edge. That way it would be more of a suggestion of a porthole in a door than super kind of grabby, round hole. But yeah. And then up here, okay, so up here you get these, these are windows, right?
Yeah, and they had these crazy reflections in them. I got more interested in those than the sign.
Right, they're reflecting what's behind you.
Yeah.
So I like that idea. I think it's powerful. But you know how you treated this window,
Uh-huh.
which is kind of a more suggestive of a reflection,
Mm-hmm.
might serve you well here and here, because right now this is these are recognizable as buildings, and the viewer is going, wait, what? That's it's maybe it's just slightly too recognizably building shaped.
Mm-hmm.
And something that's a little bit more suggestive of light, kind of a light, warm color reflection would draw less attention away from here to up here, and away from up here to up here. So I think that's really all we want to say. This is lovely, right? This kind of very abstract treatment of the shapes and reflections, and you can't quite tell what it is, but it's you don't need to. You're not meant to. You don't have to. You just know that there's something there, something being reflected. Maybe you're seeing into the building. It doesn't matter. It's just it's a really nice abstract, and also subdued, treatment of that window. This is getting a little, so this is getting a little kind of, I know this is the edge of the painting, and maybe we didn't get to that. Maybe you didn't get to that part, but it's getting a little choppy over there. Kind of, after I'm going here, or I go here, and then here, and then here. If I'm not going here and I'm not going here, I'm definitely going to go, wait, what? What's happening here? So that doesn't have the, kind of, it could be more subdued like this, right?
Mhm.
It's a little chunky, I guess, is the thing that I'm thinking. Whereas this is not chunky, right?
Gotcha.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah, wow, very nice. Did you sell this one?
Not yet.
I'm sure you will.
Yeah, well, it's the Green Mill, so it's either that or you got to paint chickens and red umbrellas. But I have a show that goes up Friday, so this will be in that.
Excellent.
Mark,
Where's-
say where the show is.
It's at Space 900 on Dempster Street in Evanston. So the opening is the 9th.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Okay, this is Ray's, right? Ah, crap.
Oh, it was mine.
Sorry about that. I'm looking for something. Oh, here we go. Hang on. There we go. Okay, annotate. Yeah. Yeah, Ray. Complicated subject, man.
Oops.
People in the foreground. You got that iconic water tower thing in there. That's cool. You know what I'm seeing, and you did. This is not oil. This is casein.
Scene. Yeah.
So you were on this. Yeah, I remember where you were standing. You were standing kind of in the sunlight, looking kind of east, southeast, southeast across Clark Street.
Right. That's kitty corner from you.
Yeah, and these umbrellas were in bright sunshine, right?
Yeah.
And the buildings back here, this is in shadow. So what I think is happening is, these the umbrella and the background buildings are kind of similar in value, and
I fought with that towards the end. Yeah.
and similar in temperature as well. So the background building, these buildings back here are probably too red, right? I don't know if you're going to get much redder than this, right? Or much oranger than this. I'm guessing you're probably at the upper limit of how orange you can get something to be with your paint. And that's fine as long as this can go darker and cooler.
Yeah.
And I think that would make the umbrellas shine like, like they were. And it'll also make it look like there's a dark underside to the umbrellas. So
Mhm.
yeah, it said similarity in value and temperature that's doing that. Now,
So when I started the painting,
yeah,
the umbrellas weren't there first thing in the morning.
oh,
So by the time I got to that area, I'm like, I was confused for a while. I actually had to go back and look at the photo I took, at 9 a.m. and go, no, they put the umbrellas up when I blinked, and
yeah,
so I had already painted that background building, and so I didn't have that to contrast with.
right. That's right. The umbrellas weren't there first thing.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
I did go back and try and do a little bit of a wash to dull down that building in the background, but I just couldn't get it go far enough
Yeah.
with the medium I was using.
There are some. I love scenes like this. Cafe type scenes. This is such a great subject for painting, and so you have a great eye for composition. I'm wondering, because this is such a great, attractive, interesting subject, this is now in direct competition with this.
Yeah.
So, you gotta, I think you gotta make a choice, and you might be able to even just crop this thing, right? But I think you kind of need to make a choice of what is your subject here and build the surrounding, it's a matter of composition. And to be fair to everybody, composition, I think, is the most difficult part of what we're doing. Composition is very, very challenging. And it's it's the answer to the question of what the hell am I painting here? And you go outside and there's a million paintings all around you, and you want to paint all of them, or you start painting on one thing and then the other thing grabs your eye. That's happened to me all the time. And so you end up kind of chasing a composition. But just keeping in mind that this can definitely happen, right? That we have a very kind of a well-known, very attractive, eye-catching subject in the lower part of the painting. But then we're a little bit at odds with ourselves up here, okay? And both of them, and this is also eye-catching. You've got a strong contrast. You've got a strong, contrast of values, contrast of edges. These are sharp edges. And you've got a very recognizable shape. So this is very, very, that's going to really catch the eye. Now, could you do this in such a way that the water tower remains in the painting? Yes, I think you could. If you made this smaller, made it not as contrasty with the sky, in other words, it's not such a big black dark shape looming over the poor innocent people in the foreground, I think it would be in other words, it would look farther away, smaller, not as sharp edged. And then on this the matter of this cross, what I would suggest on that is maybe rather than have it face the viewer, have it kind of over here, right? Or maybe just even, suggest the being suggestive of a cross rather than continuing the whole thing all the way to the edge, You know what I mean? It could be just a more, or maybe it's over here, Right now it's pretty, confrontational, right direct, straight at the viewer. Okay, that's one thing. The other thing is, okay, now down here, I would just simplify these shapes. People, it's remarkable what can be done just to suggest people without doing a whole lot of detail. And I'm looking at the people here. We don't need, things like eyes and stuff. At this distance and this size, because this is a pretty, what size was this, Ray?
8 by 10.
Yeah, so it's a small painting.
Yeah.
Not too small, but probably too small to go for this level of detail.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if her head was this big, you could do it. But at this scale, I think you're kind of necessarily going to run into problems trying to get that level of detail. And so I would just suggest it, right? Nothing wrong with that. And then two more things. One is on these little kind of railings here, maybe what I would suggest is not to go for every single one of them, but maybe just a couple, like boom, 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 boom. So rather than 15 of them, put in 5, or 6. Or rather than 10, put in 3. You know what I mean? And then in terms of, these umbrellas are going to be casting a shadow. And that is going to be a strong, that could be a strong shape down here. Kind of abstract, strong shape of shadow to contrast. And then your figures would be dark because they're in the shadow against a light Well, you know, the question is, if this side is all in shadow, then how do you contrast these figures with the background? And it may be color, a value difference, edges, certainly shape. A shape of a person's head would, even if it's kind of relatively low contrast, if it has the right shape and the right value contrast, it would work. So yeah, I think this is a great subject, and you know, the drawing's good. This, you know, the composition is good, but we got a little I don't know what the right word is. Kind of I don't know what the right word is. The composition is good, but it's a little bit at odds with itself. I think this composition is the more interesting one, and probably what you spent the most time on, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I like this, you know, I love this. Just because you've just suggested it, right? You haven't tried to like work out all the different little petals of the plant here, and you know, you haven't really tried to draw in the, you know, the top edge of that pot, but it works really well as pot plant, you know, and it's a cool detail, right, that breaks up this transition there. So I'm not sure what this dark shape is, but
It's the awning on that corner building way out there.
oh yeah,
I just dropped the lettering on it. And
yeah,
it's
I
like a
would,
whistle.
yeah, I'd subdue this one,
Mhm.
because right now it's kind of got this strong contrast here. Yeah. Yeah, wow.
Yeah, it's a little tricky with casein because they dry lighter than what I see when they're wet.
Oh,
So sometimes that's playing a little bit. You know, I think, oh, that's bright enough, and then all of a sudden it dries muted more.
oh, it dries a little darker than it looks, or
Sometimes, yeah, or it gets more muted,
yeah,
so it loses some of its vibrancy.
yeah. I think it's got a really cool look. I would also get rid of this car, right? Just as it, you know, it's kind of not adding much,
Yeah.
and a little bit of a distracting, high contrast, sharp-edged shape.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's kind of competing with these people down here. You know what? I think it's perfectly okay when we're painting outside to be utterly ruthless when it comes to editing what we're looking at. And, you know, you look at some painters and you think, oh my God, where did they get such a scene? Well, they were on location, but I'm sure that they were absolutely without mercy when it came to editing what to put in, what to leave out, what to focus on, and what to go after, right? So we're not, let's not leave ourselves at the mercy of things like, you know, somebody's parked car, if we can,
Mm-hmm.
if we don't have to. And I don't think we have to in this case, because the subject is interesting enough without it.
All the people in the umbrellas showed up the last hour that I was painting. So yeah, until then it was all stacked chairs and tables. So I was kind of actually waiting for them to show up for lunch. And
Right. So in that case, you know, in that case, and you're kind of running out of time, I think it might have been, yeah, that's really hard, but I think
I think we're going to need to move along a little bit.
okay, sorry.
That's okay.
Let's move
thanks
on.
to it.
Lots to talk about with that one, right? Okay. This is Linda's. Let me see if I can get that.
Hi,
Yeah.
Stuart.
Hi, Linda. Yeah, wow, okay. You've got you have a really delicate touch here, right? This is very, let me see here. I'm gonna move this bar out of the way, okay. Yeah, I mean, nice soft edges everywhere, good shapes on these trees. So one of the things that can really throw us off is things like this, where we get this kind of negative shape. You know, if you imagine putting like a little heart shape in there, you know, or whatever weird shape. So this, what I'm saying is this works. That's nice. I think you could get darker, Linda. You know, under here, down here. The fence appears to be in shadow because it's not terribly bright,
Right.
right? So I'm not sure if that's kind of a deliberate or whether it's just you didn't get to that.
The left side had a little light on it. The right side was in shadow. I'm not showing it very well.
Yeah, I think that would work if you had a little blast of light here and here and here and here, and then this was, you left this the same value over here. One thing to notice is, you know, we get this kind of inviting composition. You've done a nice job of not having these on the same level, but so we're kind of being invited into this way, but then we meet with a wall here. And what you could do is, you know, put a little highlight over here, maybe have an opening in the gate here, shadow here. So there's a little less of a blockage.
Right.
Eye tries to get back into this scene. Okay. Let's see. There's little things like, you know, you haven't covered the canvas completely. I know this is just a, you know, it's an outdoor quickie, whatever. So keep that in mind. Things like this kind of are slightly annoying to my eye.
Me too.
Well, why is that? It's because the left limb is just barely, but not quite touching this. So there's a tension that creates tension.
Yeah.
And we're like, you know, the eye goes to it and the eye wants to know, well, are they going to kiss or not, right? Are they going to be happily ever after or not? And so I guess I would, you know, I don't know what that tree looked like, but I would recommend that you kind of resolve it frankly, one way or the other. Either the left one crosses and touches or doesn't touch, right? So there's a little bit of tension there that I think is counterproductive. And the other thing I would say, Linda, is, you've got this, we have this. There's a little bit of tension here too, where the tree in the foreground is neither frankly in front of the background tree, nor frankly apart from the background tree. So a little bit of you see, like here, there is a kind of a frank, honest overlap of the two shapes, which works better.
Right.
So this is that kind of a tangent that we often get in in painting. So now, one final thing I can say is, is this a distant tree line back here, sort of?
It is, and that shape really bothers me. So I'd love your suggestion for what to do about that tangent and that shape. Yeah.
Oh, well, so I would frankly bring this over the background.
Okay.
And then, but the background needs to be cooler and lighter.
Yeah. Okay.
And this is in particular cool dark. This is a warm dark. And I think you've got the relative temperatures reversed.
Right.
It's the distant foliage that needs to go cool, and the nearer foliage, like here, it needs to be warmer.
Right.
Right? Am I seeing like a paintbrush hair right here?
I have no idea what that is.
What is that?
It's not in the painting.
That just appeared. That appeared a few seconds ago.
Oh, strange. Okay. I wonder if, well, I might have done that by accident somehow. At least it's not on the painting. So, okay, good. It's not just on my computer screen, because you guys can see that too, right?
It could be on your computer screen because you're sharing your screen.
But I mean, it's not a problem. It's not a defect in my monitor.
I don't think. Well, let's go to the next one. We'll find out.
Right. Okay. Thanks, Linda.
Thank you so much.
Yep, it's on your monitor, I guess.
What? Okay, okay. Now, whose painting is it? Oh, Sue.
This is Sue Whitney. Sue, are you here? I don't think Sue's here. Sue, are you here? No.
Okay. Should we skip it then?
No. Make comments. We just won't have as many because she can't discuss it with you. So.
Okay, so this one I think is very strong, right? He's got a central subject with strong contrast, strong shape, right? Color, edge, everything about it is screaming, this is the subject of the painting. And it's nicely done. It's very nicely done. Kind of abstract suggestion of these flowers. And I like how she's drawn this and this color. Everything's great about that. Where I think it gets a little weaker is in here, where this, there's a lot of white in the paint. And I'm not sure why she was adding white. But this is a good example of why we should avoid putting white in our paint, because it makes it look kind of this kind of dead, chalky. It's neither, it's lighter, but it's not brighter. It's lighter, but it doesn't look like sunshine on those leaves. This looks more sunshiny than this, and the reason is that white is it's kind of it's very cold, very cool, chalky. And look at this. Look back here. This is sunshine on foliage. Not sure what that is, right? It's a little. It's the problem with white. Yeah, she might be able to make these shadows cooler, right? This is pretty red. This one's very red. But all in all, wow, this is a strong painting. So very nice. But yeah, careful of using the white to get something brighter. This is the way to go. That and the the contrast with the darks. Right. Okay, let's go to the next one. Oh yeah, there we go. Oh, I see. Yeah, it is cooler in that. Well, Okay. Who do we have here? Oh, crap. Who do we have here?
This is Karen. Karen, are you here? Yes, she is.
You see that thing on my screen?
Yes, I'm here.
What?
Yeah, I see that as your screen.
That is so strange.
You might want to try clearing all your annotations. I mean, it looks like it's, you know, because I see some other strange, well, maybe someone is drawing on the screen, because I see some other strange dots, you know, on the right-hand side there, little black lines. It's sort of,
Oh, yeah.
God. Maybe I need a new computer. Oh my God, this is terrible. Okay.
Enlarge the screen, see if it helps. That little go to that.
Margin.
Nope, it didn't.
It's just,
well, maybe it's someone else who's drawing on the screen. It's sort of,
no, I don't think so. I
okay.
think my screen might be just dying.
Uh,
It looks like it's growing also, doesn't it? Okay, well, let's see if we can get through this tonight before before my computer dies. Who's
Oh,
this
it's
is
gone. It just left.
okay.
Oh my God, that was me.
Oh, Junior, shame on you.
I had no idea. I don't know what that button is. And then I go, let me see what that button is. I press the button and it had to erase. I go, let me see. I erase and I go, oh my God.
Okay, good.
I'm so sorry.
That's all right. Now this is Karen, right?
Right.
Me,
Yeah. Hi, Karen. Okay, so Karen, I love this subject. I like things like this. This is a very nicely drawn, you know, good proportions, all that stuff. And I don't know if it's the photo or the painting, but it might be the photo that's a little blurry. But you know, all the edges here are relatively soft, okay, which is a good way to start. A good place to be in your painting process. But I think it would be helpful then to look for a place or two where you can introduce a hard edge, a sharp edge. In other words,
It does look blurry. I wonder if I did take a blurry picture. Sorry. I don't think it's that blurry.
it might be the photo, but
Yeah.
it's giving me the occasion to talk about this. So let me just
Okay.
blather on about it. Because I think, you know, what we tend to do, all of us, me included, are, you know, I sweat blood on the drawing, I sweat blood on the values and the colors and the shapes and all that. But then when it comes to the edges and the variety of edges, it's kind of where I lack imagination. I don't really know what to do. You know, I kind of like fudge it a little bit. So what I'm here to tell you is you could be or you should be the kind of in control of where you want the hard edges to be and where you want the softer edges to be. And hard edges are typically going to be kind of like here where there's a contrasted value, or here where there's a contrasted value, or here. High contrasted value is where we're going to look for sharp edges. Now, what I'm saying is you shouldn't make this whole one sharp edge or all this, you know, we don't want it to be uniform either one way or the other. There should be a variety. And so you can and should kind of orchestrate where you want those to be. And, you know, maybe you want one here, and then one here, and then one here, and maybe one here. And they could be as much as, what size painting is this, Karen?
5 by 7. It's real small.
Tiny, yeah. So these sharp edges that I'm talking about could be on the order of, you know, 1/4 of an inch.
Mhm.
Or an 1/8 of an inch, right? Something that just, what those sharp edges will do is they will stand out nicely against surrounding softer edges, and will will really draw the eye to boom, right? And then boom, and then boom, and then boom. You know, you could really kind of orchestrate a way that the viewer would look at all the different, you know what I mean?
Okay.
So it's a matter of a little imagination, a little editing, and choice on your part. Now, having said that, okay, that's the thing, the main subject. On the background here, I notice two things. One, there's a kind of real tangent right there
Oh,
with the edge of the church. So I would suggest that you frankly and honestly kind of figure out a way to,
okay.
right,
Mhm.
and have the church kind of squarely in front of the background foliage. Then number two, this is pretty busy
Yeah.
for being kind of distant, remote tree line. What you might do instead of, well, what's busy about it is that there's a lot of values. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you know, a lot of different values and a lot of different small shapes. What I would suggest is make that at most like 3 values and unify the shapes so that they don't stand out as spots of dark against a lighter background or spots of light against a darker background. They're bigger, more unified, kind of abstract tree shapes, but not kind of a polka dot quality that we got going on now. And that's just a matter of, with your brush in the wet paint, pushing it across those kind of spots of dark to unify them into one larger area of dark, or one larger area of medium, and one larger area of lighter. Follow me?
Yeah, thanks.
One final question is there a little sidewalk?
No, it was all grass.
Okay.
There was actually a cemetery. I left out the gravestones.
Okay, yeah. Well, there might be even a little warm, you know, you might have a way
Just
to,
kind of create something.
yeah, it's not a sidewalk, it's just a little indication of a, you know, a little area where the grass is worn down a little bit more than in others.
Okay,
Oh, very nice, very nice.
thank you.
Okay, this is Barbara's,
Barbara.
right?
Yep. And I know Barbara's here.
Yeah.
Or was here. Barbara?
I'm here.
Hi,
Hello.
Hi,
Hello. Hi, everybody. I'm here.
Barbara.
So this was in Cedarburg, the
Yeah.
first one.
Yeah.
And, you know, I looked at the greens again and I know there are problems with the greens.
Yeah. You know, I love the subject. I like the, you know, I really like the subject a lot. And, you know, you got these interesting buildings with this vertical, and then it kind of, you know, you got a really nice, you know, composition here, I think. You know, kind of interesting way into the picture, kind of way out of the picture, and so on. The greens, Barbara, I don't, you know, I guess what I'm seeing is, I would, if this is an overcast day, it looks like an,
Yeah.
I would expect those trees to be darker against the sky.
Okay.
And, you know, and not so kind of lime green.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
My guess is that you were mixing maybe a little too much of a, yeah, I don't know how you were mixing these greens, but I think a dark,
Quickly. I was doing it quickly.
yeah, yeah, maybe a darker, warmer green would be called for. And Yeah, I think that's the main thing that's detracting from the painting. There's
Uh-huh.
two other little things that I think are, by the way, this kind of thing is really nice because
Uh-huh.
it breaks up this kind of big light shape here with a little, you know, you don't really know what this is, but you don't need to know what that is.
Yeah.
It's just something, you know, and it kind of works because
Yeah, I was really trying to make those things very abstract because I
yeah,
didn't want to be detailed. I wanted, you know, to just like spot things in quickly
right.
in that brown there. Yeah.
That works really well. This works really well for doing exactly that.
Mhm.
Uh, one- yeah, a couple of things. Well, this pathway, you know, as it gets farther away from you, it should get narrower, right? But as it comes towards you, it should probably get a little wider. Right? But
Okay.
right now, it's narrower here than it is here.
Yeah.
Just a slight little like, wait, what? You know?
Yeah.
And then one other thing that's kind of two other little things. One is that this tree seems to be right smack on the edge of this
The
building.
building.
Right?
Yeah. Okay.
And maybe there's a way to, I say there's probably a way to fudge that a little bit, maybe by bringing the foliage of the tree down, you know, so that it doesn't look like it's just a line extending the corner of the building. That's one. And then two, by the way, this is really nice. But then here we've got this, you know, the trunk. Right now, it's kind of uniform strength from here down to here. Whereas I think it might read a little better if it was, okay, trunk, foliage, trunk. In other words, if you break up this line of the tree trunk, it will look as if it's disappearing behind and among and into the foliage of the tree.
That makes sense. Yes.
Yeah, but this is a great subject, nice composition. I mean, really nice composition. And
Okay.
yeah, it's those little things. And then the greens, you got to work out your greens.
What about the tree in the foreground that's closer to us?
You know, get your palette out and just see what kind of greens you can make with just ultramarine and raw sienna, ultramarine and yellow, ultramarine and orange, ultramarine and medium, ultramarine and light, ultramarine and lemon. And then you could do the same thing with cobalt, you know, and just do the whole range of different greens you can make.
Yeah.
And then you could use black, ivory black, instead of a blue with the yellows to make a whole different range of greens. And I think you'll be surprised and pleased at the different varieties of green you can get with just a very few colors.
Okay.
You know?
Great. Thank
Very
you, Stuart. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Now, whose is this?
Yeah, so this is mine. It's sort of,
Oh, hey. Yeah. Wow. Okay.
this is the lion house at the zoo. So
Yeah, I was wondering where we were, but then it reminded me of the zoo. It's kind of strong feeling, really strong, you know, feeling of like, well, it's kind of a squat, massive building. It looks like a Babylonian temple or something, with the, you know, this kind of pediment, you know, and
yeah.
this kind of Romanesque arch, and it's a very strong architectural subject, and so that works nicely. You know, one thing is this, again, little distraction over here, like that's a pretty strong contrast in shape. It's kind of, you know, not by its position on the canvas is, its position on the canvas is telling me it's not that important. And yet it's got a very strong contrast in shape going on over there. You might be able to reduce that contrast in shape. Then we have, you know, I think there's a little bit of a, and believe me, I'm not the best at this, but a little bit of a perspective thing going on. And I don't quite know how to express it, but if this is the midpoint of that arch, and that would seem to be the midpoint between here and here, then that perspective of this curved ceiling, okay, that hits there. That's the height of the arch of this. But this one, the inner arch appears to be slightly lopsided to me.
Yeah, it is. And, you know, it's sort of, I wasn't sort of paying enough attention. So yeah, it's lopsided. It's sort of.
Yeah. But that's, anyway, that's relatively minor, but.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to fix in watercolor. So it's,
yeah. You know. It's the kind of thing that it's so easy. You know, look, this is really well done, right? You get the interior, the inside surface of this arch in the front. Getting that to work is really challenging. You did a great job on that. And then, of course, you get but then you're not done. You've got the next one. So yeah, you've set yourself a real challenge, because even this one, okay, so if this is lopsided, that might make this one lopsided, and then this one lopsided. So I guess if you're going to do that, one way to, and I don't know if you use this tool or not, but one tool that could be a big help is to use a mirror when you get done drawing it out. Get your mirror out and hold up the mirror to your eye and look at your drawing in the mirror.
oh, okay, yeah.
So that you see your drawing reversed and reduced in size. And that way, hopefully, mistakes will kind of jump out at you more readily than if you don't look at it in the mirror. I find that to be very, very helpful. It's an old draftsman's tool that not enough people use today, but there's no reason we can't. It's just people don't. So get a mirror and use it. Okay. Then a couple other things. One is, you know, we've got, can't tell it. I think this was supposed to be part of the foliage, right?
Yeah, it kind of overlaps slightly the front of the building, and then there was like a dappled shadow cast on the you know, from the tree on that side of the pediment. It's, you know.
Right. So I think the foliage, you know, the little leaves could be darker in here, right? And then this, you might want to just organize this a little bit and maybe make fewer. You know, it's a little, again, it gets a little kind of spotty, right? Where all the shapes of the light shining through the leaves are all relatively the same size and the same shape. And then the shadow, you know what I mean? So
yeah.
So also, you know, well, yeah, just, I would organize this a little bit and decide, you know, should it be more light or more shadow? How many shapes of light are you going to have? I don't think you need, 1, 2, 3. You don't need 6 or 7. You probably need 3 with an interesting border to the shadow.
Mm-hmm, okay.
That's about it. And then, but this is a nice cast shadow, and so is this. So it's got a really nice thing to it. And okay, so if the shadow is being cast this way, yeah, that's why this is shadow over here.
Yeah, so that was all in shadow on the right hand side. It's sort of
Wow, very, very challenging, very tough subject, but it works as a kind of massive, building. Are these the doorways here?
yeah, those are the doorways. Yeah, so
So that would argue that this archway is like, because a person doesn't reach the top of a doorway. So a
yeah,
person might be this tall, right?
right.
So this is like, I don't know, 80 feet tall. Can't be that tall, right? I don't know. You might
Yeah,
want
I mean it's a pretty big building, and I was sitting, quite close to it because you can't really, to get that view, you can't actually get that far away from it. So you're sitting on a bench right across from it. So kind of, it's kind of not an easy drawing to do, just because you're kind of almost sitting on top of the building. It's sort of,
right.
so.
Well, it definitely gives a sense that this is like, a massive, massive
Yeah.
arch. Wow, very nice.
Thank you.
Okay, how are we doing, Lori? Are
I
we?
was just gonna say, let's move along with it.
Sorry. We'll keep,
We have about it's about 10 more to do, I think.
oh my God, are you serious? Okay, I'll
Yeah,
move.
so I should have moved you a little sooner. So, but
And we've been going at it about, okay, so I apologize.
no, it's been very interesting. So it's been very good. Is Kathy here? I don't think Kathy's here.
Why don't we skip people that are not here? That way we can move ahead. 'Cause-
Unless you just want to say a few couple of things about it, just because, she'll.
Well, because people that are here are waiting patiently.
Yeah, okay. I just, people watch the video, that watch the recording. So, if you.
Yeah, I would just be careful with things like this, right? Because I'm not sure, because the usual phrase is Black Lives Matter, but it doesn't say that. And so I'm wondering, well, wait, what? And maybe it's just me, okay? And then I have RIP. I'm thinking, oh, did somebody die? What? We got to be careful about these because the eye is so strongly drawn to lettering. We want to make sure that it doesn't inadvertently say something or not say something. You know what I mean? They're very powerful elements in a composition. Here, I think she needs to consolidate some of these shadow shapes. Right now, it's kind of disorganized. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. She ought to make a shape of the shadow and decide on, where does it go? Where does it start? Where does it go? What's the shape of the boundary? Are there holes in it? And then just kind of frankly and honestly make a shadow rather than kind of breaking it up in so many places. Yeah, I think probably the background could be darker. This is nicely done. This is watercolor, so it's, watercolor is hard to get dark, I know. And so it's hard to get real bright in watercolor, but I think if the background was darker, you'd have a brighter foreground. People, people are a whole different subject, and you got to be careful not to, get them kind of more upright. This seems like the right scale and everything, but the person that we're looking at almost seems to be kneeling down, and maybe maybe that was meant to be, but I'm not sure. So be careful about people.
That's
You
good.
I would get a sketchbook and practice in your sketchbook over and over and over again. Draw people in different poses and different actions, and get them moving and going and running and walking and standing, and whatever you can think of would be a good way to practice. Kuhn, this is a great painting. It's very nice. Wow, very strong.
Yeah, unfortunately, Kuhn's not here.
Oh no! The only thing I want to see on this painting that I'm not seeing is a little more purple. Maybe in the foreground. It's kind of purple down here in the shadow, but we don't have that bright sunlit purple that we see a little bit back here, but I'm not sure why we're not seeing it here. And then, yeah, I would maybe subdue some of these contrasts in the windows back here, because we don't need that. We're looking here and here, and this is such a nice contrast here, strong, diagonals into the painting. But right now, the payoff to this composition seems to lie back here rather than here. I might want to reverse that and work on the color here, subdue these contrasts. Very sharp, high contrast, dark against, kind of black against white in the background, drawing the eye back there when, you might not want, but this is nice. This contrast is nice. The big shapes are nice. It's just these little tiny shapes that I'm talking about. Okay, we'll go to the next one. I'm sorry, you guys, talking too much.
No, Stuart, don't worry about it. You're doing great, and everybody's getting a lot of information. It's really good. It's really good critique. And this is Muriel.
And Muriel, I know exactly where this is.
Hi, Stuart.
Hey. Yeah, I know exactly where this is, and it's really good. Really good. It's like it's a good likeness of that. It's a good representation of that place and what's going on there. I can think of just a couple of, I like this composition. You got the, I like this. You got these running off. One thing, a couple things. One is, I think you could probably go brighter here, if not across, if not all the way across, certainly in sections. Right now, it's a little. Has a little, like, I don't know, Naples yellow or something in the white. Could be brighter. This is not, I like that blue, reflecting the sky along here. That really works well. So maybe brighter. And then these rocks down here. Right now, they're a little kind of evenly, maybe a little too evenly spaced and too much the same size, right? So I would, you could, what I would suggest is maybe making one big rock out of these and another big rock out of those, and turning these into a rock. So that, does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. So that we're not having all the same size rocks,
Yes.
kind of evenly spaced. That would give a little more interest down here. And
yeah, I wasn't sure. I don't want it because it's at the edge. I thought maybe you don't define it too much down there. I don't know. Yeah. But it's closer to you though, right? Closer to the viewer.
Yeah. I'm not suggesting you need to draw attention down there. And in fact, I think it would do the reverse. If you were to unify some of these shapes, it would draw less attention than by having kind of a little bit of a polka dot action going on. This is pretty busy. A lot going on down here.
Okay.
I think if it were kind of unified to bigger shapes, it would allow the viewer to spend their time over here.
Okay.
Kind of same with this. I mean, we got that railing. I know there's a railing around
Yeah.
these,
Yeah.
but probably, you know, you could dispense with that. Or make 3, 1, 2, 3,
Oh, okay.
or 1, 2. Just something where it's not quite so detailed. Because, you've got a pretty nice summary treatment of the waterfall, but then we've got, and somebody's, I'm not sure what that noise is. I don't know if you guys can hear me, but there's this very broadly painted, nice treatment of the waterfall here, which is the main subject of the painting. But then when you get over here, Muriel, you've turned into the apostle of accuracy and detail. So it's like a different painter has taken over. I like this painter, the kind of broad, dark, light, real light. That painter of the falls is somewhat at odds with this painter over here. So when you get over here, let your spirit of this take over. Okay?
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, nice. These are nice air holes in the foliage. Not too. You could soften some of these edges, like you did here. Soften this one, or this one, or this one. They could be a little more variety on the edges of those air holes, but I like how you've done them and where you've placed them. Yeah, very nice. It doesn't catch the attention until kind of later, so that's why I know it's works well. Okay, who do we have here? Priscilla. Is Priscilla with us?
Yeah, I'm here. Hi, Stuart.
Hi. Okay. Let me just start by saying I love this thing. Really, really, really well done. Very painterly, suggestive, soft, but interesting, right? That's not easy to do. And you've done it really well. And, from the very top all the way to the very bottom. Oh, that's nicely done. Not quite sure. This looks like it's running uphill, right?
It's not, so.
Yeah, I'm guessing that you're standing on a level sidewalk, right? Were you standing on a level sidewalk?
No, it's just flat.
Yeah, flat. It's level, right?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's not running uphill and downhill.
Mm-hmm.
And you're looking at a column that's above, this part is above your head, correct?
Right.
Yeah. So that column and the next column behind it are going to descend to the horizon. And then the sidewalk will ascend to meet the horizon, but probably not quite so steeply. And in fact, you'd have to judge it pretty carefully to see how steep these angles are one to another. But right now, the perspective is slightly off. I don't think it's off up here. I'm thinking it's off down here, and that this column probably comes down here, that they're closer to something like that.
I was standing real close to the the column. So
Yeah, and that
it's
can,
sort of really high, you look up pretty much.
right. And if you get too close, that kind of perspective distortion can take place for sure. But yeah, it's like if you stand close to somebody, you can't see both the top of their head and their feet at the same time. And if you were to try to draw somebody when you're standing 3 feet away from them, it's very difficult. You know, you have to stand back. And anyway, think about how you want to work on this and maybe sketch it out on a piece of paper. Or sometimes what you can do is lay a piece of saran wrap over this thing or wax paper and draw on it over the wax paper and see if you can make the perspective work for you. I think, you know, what I would do that because you have a really nice one here. The tree in the background works well. This one works. I love, you know, this has got a really nice texture and temperature to it. And of course, this is the one that has I would not touch that. Don't touch that at all. Because it's really, really, really lovely. But yeah, this sense of kind of climbing a hill is what's throwing me off. So now, the other thing that I've mentioned to other people about kind of dappled light, I think applies here too. And you could unify, instead of having, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all these different little areas of light, make them, you know, 3 areas of light, or 5 rather than 15. You know, do some editing and consolidate. It'll be stronger if you make, you know, this one shape, and then this is another shape, and then maybe a third shape back here, you know, so that we're not, you know, okay, maybe a fourth one here, but that we're not having so many that the eye doesn't quite know how to read this. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. And also, is this dark enough? I feel like it's too light. The shadow.
Yeah, the shadow could be a little darker. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It'll make the light cast on the light shining on the sidewalk brighter if the surrounding area is darker. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Thank you guys for just listening to me babble on. I enjoy doing this, and I'm really pleased to see all of your work. Now, this is Fabiola, right?
Yeah, Fabiola's here. I think she's in a car listening, so she may not be able to respond, but she's here.
Okay, Fabiola. Yeah. Okay. So this is a nice example of, you know, simplifying shapes, right, and kind of editing things down. I do think that you know, this could be, you know, if this are darker here, this wall would be much brighter, right? And that maybe, well, depends on what she's going for, but you know, if this were dark, kind of a rich dark, this would be so much brighter. This tree would kind of be consolidated with that shape of the awning, and the dark side of the, or whatever's over here, this is going to be that much brighter, right? That's one thing that we could do. The other thing is we got a real high contrast dark here. And okay, I'm not sure what's happening there, but this seems a little out of place for a real super high contrast dark. So I would, yeah, lighten this up or consolidate it, make it join up with some of the surrounding darks, but probably not more contrast here than here. Okay. I love this sort of blue and stuff. This is a strong shape here. I think she attached a photo to the image where if we look at it, you know, there is a way to kind of make it, you know, you might be able to consolidate this into one bigger shape. This is darker than she had it. And there is some darks over here that would make this blue stand out more. So, Fabiola, I don't know if you can hear me, but I think your painting's great. I think we ought to get some more darks in there to make that building shine more. And maybe there's a way to not have the fire hydrant at the foreground so isolated. Maybe by putting in a little trash can or something in here in between to have a little bit of, to join those dark shapes, or at least.
I'm here, I just parked.
Yeah, oh, okay. Yeah.
What area needs to be darker by the tree you said?
But just to the, under the awning on the right side of the painting.
Yes, thank you. Mm-hmm.
That'll make the blue shine brighter. Yeah. Yeah, lovely, lovely painting. It's small, right?
It's a 4x5, so it's tiny.
Yeah, that is tiny, but it's, you know what's good about paintings like that is you can't put too much detail in them. And as a result, you get this nice kind of summary, broad treatment of the subject. And that's what you have here. It works well. Very nice. Okay.
Thanks.
How are we doing on time?
We're doing, well, we're okay. I think we're getting, Elena's not here, and I will tell you how many more we have. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, only 6 more.
Oh my God, I'm going so slow, you guys.
But it's, you know, you're really good, so don't worry about it.
Okay, here.
So it's 8:30 and you have 6 more. That's pretty good.
Okay. Here we have, and she's not here, so I'm going to go very quickly through this one. Here we have, okay, so here we're kind of losing, we need a clearer statement of what's in shadow, what's in the light. And I'm not sure, because in the tree, there's both light and dark. In the foreground tree and in the background tree, there's both light and dark. In other words, the values are kind of collapsing towards the middle. We can't quite tell what's light, what's dark. The same is true in this shadow on the street. You know, yeah, there's a broad, kind of a big dark shape, but it's broken up by so many different lights that we can't tell, wait, is this just a dark colored asphalt with light shining on it? Or is this a light colored asphalt with a shadow cast? So it's that confusion of light and dark that I think needs to be sorted out. And probably the best way to do that is to unify these darks, right? The darks that kind of appear to be, you know, a lot of little holes in the tree could be joined one with another into making bigger, more interesting shapes, okay, of dark. And that way we would get a stronger sense of light and dark. Remember that, you know, if something's in the shadow, it can't be as light as anything that's in the light. And if something's in the light, it cannot be as dark as something that's in the shadow. Otherwise, you know, we get the sweet and sour get so mixed up that we can't tell what flavor we got going here. you know, here's a good example of, you know, this is sort of, it's just kind of failure to, we have to maintain order in our value structure in order to get the sense of light and dark. And I think here she ought to unify the lights, unify the darks, and it would make for a stronger picture. This is a very strong picture, right? I don't remember who's this. Oh, it's whose is this one?
This is Maria.
Me.
Is it Maria here?
Yep.
Okay, I'm Maria. So
Hi.
this is a much stronger picture, right? We've got lights and darks clearly separated, and the value structure is working well. You have dark tree in the background, sunlit umbrella, and then light foliage, you know, in the sunshine here. That's nice. I think I said this with Ray and with Muriel. I would suggest not doing quite so many little railings here. It's a little,
Too much.
yeah, a little too much. You know, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you know, something like that. Yeah, wow. Nice. And you know, you haven't gone crazy on the you know, nice variety of shapes and stuff on these shadows. So that works well. Not quite sure what's happening here with the bike, but
It was a passenger bike for children, so it had this giant chariot in the front.
yeah,
And then they left, so I made it up.
yeah. So that, you know, you might want to just delineate something there, just a couple of edges or something that would tell us what's going on.
Mhm.
And the same with these people. You know, these people look, okay, it looks like you're sitting down and that this is eye level, roughly.
Yeah, I was almost sitting on the floor.
Yeah. So you're sitting down, kind of looking up at these people, and they're going away from you. Careful we don't get this guy's head too big. And then you might want to, yeah, I mean, I think his head is just maybe a little too big, and that might help. But yeah, nice suggestion of people and legs and stuff like that. That works. Yeah, very well done.
Thank you.
Are we missing the central pole from this?
No, it was suspended. It's above it, that white arc.
Oh, right. Right, okay. Yeah, now I see this thing, yeah.
Actually, it's that little white, it looks like it's coming out of the tree.
This
Like
thing?
a silver, that's what's holding the umbrella.
Hmm. Yeah, this looks like part of the sky to me, but yeah. Yeah, it's kind of cool. Very nice. Where was this? In Cedarburg or?
No, that was in Andersonville on Balmoral somewhere.
Yeah, nice. All right, good sense of light and dark, good value contrast, you know, careful on adding the people.
Yeah.
Get gigantic heads, but very strong.
Thank you.
This is Alvino
Yeah, this is Junior.
Jr. And is he here?
Yes, he is.
He was here, I know. Yeah, well, this is this is very nice, you know, really well, so tough 2-point perspective, this way and this way, this way and this way. Very well drawn, nice subject. Good. One thing I really like is this little shadow cast on the awning there. You might be able to, Junior, I don't know if you can hear me, but
Yeah.
This, I wonder if you could maybe, could we go darker here or here? because this looks like sunlight cast on this facade here.
Yeah.
Right. And yet the values are relatively close. I mean, they're not super far apart. You know, this is not white. This is far from white.
Yeah.
It's far from a pure yellow. It's pretty down in value. So you have room on the value scale to go much brighter here. And that would make this look relatively darker, would make the shadow look relatively darker. And, you know, look, you might not want to do it over here, but maybe you want to do it, you know, here.
Yeah.
Or you know, or here. But this has a really nice feel to it. And what I like is that it's kind of broadly painted, not too much detail. You haven't worried about, you have not worried that I can't figure out what brand of car that is, which is, we don't need to worry about that. These, you know, you might give a little splash of, if these people are important, Junior, I would give a splash of color down here.
Yeah, well, they were half in shadow and half in, you know, in color.
Okay,
so I don't know what to do. So they were half in shadow.
Okay,
so I put like blue in there, and then
well,
that was quick.
You could do whatever you want with them. They could be in shadow, or they could be in light. But right now they're kind of a little bit of
mix.
A little muddy kind of earth color, earthy kind of umbery, neither here nor there color, which I think you could sort out a little bit more.
Yeah, on this side, I changed it. I put more color in it.
And I think that earth color situation is kind of affecting you here as well. And I don't know what color was on your palette, but this has got kind of a earth color to it that I think could, well, it gives you room to go brighter and clearer with a statement of color and value. This also is kind of earthy.
Yeah, I use Mars yellow instead of regular yellow. I don't like regular yellow. So I use Mars yellow. It's almost like a Zorn palette.
Right.
Yeah. So it's a vermilion for the building and Mars yellow for everything else. And
well, that's why it has the harmony that it does. But yeah, I think you could go a little bit, a little brighter, a little darker.
The only thing bright was the turquoise.
Yeah, and then you could make a choice of, you know, is that where you want the sharpest, most interest, you know?
Yeah, that's what got to me is the colors of the building and the turquoise fences.
Right. Yeah, very nice. It has a tropical feeling to it in a way.
Yeah, I like the light that was showing in the back of the buildings, and the beginning it was like kind of like a shadow. Everything was in shadow, and the light in the back was what I liked. Then the light started coming in. I go, oh, okay.
This works as being distant. That works very well. Yeah, sort out these people, and yeah, I would be tempted to give this the
darker edges.
Yeah, sharper edges.
Even lighting up the middle window. I put some greens and mixed with blues in there.
Right. So there's a lot of, this is really a great composition, very well drawn, and you've got a couple of decisions to make about how you want to carry it forward. But are these people over here too?
Yeah.
The splashes of color in there are going to, little shapes or wedges of color.
Yeah, I put some orange and reds on the one I had over here. I was working. I'm still working on it.
Excellent. All right, man. Well done.
Thanks.
Okay, we are now on.
You're doing great. Don't worry. You're doing good. This is Deborah Page Jackson, who I think's here. Yep, she's here.
Okay.
Hi, I'm here.
Okay, good. Watercolor. And so, you know, a couple of things. I know you're, sorry, I can't get to that. From looking at your reference photo, which you attached, I can tell what you're looking at. You've done a nice job of pretty much consolidating into big shapes these trees, and that's nice. A variety of shapes, and that works well. Okay, you have a little bit of a space in between here, but not here. Well, you know, that is really one of the most important things about what you're doing. Okay, we kind of lose that consolidation up here, though, where this light is getting isolated from this light, isolated from this light, isolated from this. We're getting a little bit of a, you know, kind of spotty feeling to it there. You could, you know, anytime you're faced with this, see if there's a way to make 3 shapes out of 4 or 2 shapes out of 5 instead of 5 shapes. Okay?
Yeah, I see.
That'll lend strength to the drawing or the painting and make you focus on what's more important than these, you know, isolated shapes. And what's more important is the, you know, the big shapes and how the big shapes work all together. Okay. So I think that's one thing. The other thing is, okay, this is maybe just a pet peeve of mine, and maybe it's just an artifact of the photo, but right now I see the water level dipping down and then coming up. It's not level, okay? And that's one of those things that we're gonna have to be pretty ruthless about, because our eye, the human eye will catch that right away and be like, wait, why is the, you know, there can't be any hills in the water. So the water has to be level. And when it's not level, it's kind of an eye catcher. You've done a nice job of keeping this bright relative to the trees. And I know that was the case in the reference photo. But now we're into the cars, and I think you're finding that, oh, excuse me, with transparent watercolor, it's going to be hard to make these, it's almost impossible to make these cars bright against the roadway without using an opaque white for a highlight. So, you know, these are not bad for a shape of a car. I think you could be slightly more abstract. And I think next time when you're out there, you could pick a subject. It's gonna give yourself a bigger likelihood of success. You've got a good ability to paint trees, their shape, combinations of trees, the different values in trees, and the water. Right? We don't need to complicate our job with 3, you know, including 3 separate automobiles at a relatively small scale in transparent watercolor. And I would just argue for choosing a different composition. And
so you're saying altogether that's it's not a good subject. I picked the wrong subject.
I'm not saying it's a bad subject by itself. I'm saying a different subject, a simpler subject for everybody, for all, is more likely to lead to success. And a simple subject like 3 trees and a water, or, you know, a boat, or 1 tree in a field of green, or, you know, something simple. I think sometimes this looks like you painted it from a upper story of a building, and, you know, we're looking out at this panorama, And the panorama, the big view is attractive to our eye. But I would argue, you ought to pick something a little bit more intimate, where try doing a still life in watercolor with a couple of pots or a cup of tea and a tea bag. And that's it, right? That's it. We don't need to include the entire vastness of the universe or, a big stretch of Lakeshore Drive to get a powerful painting. So just keep that in mind. But, the good thing is you got a good control of the medium, and you're getting darks and lights and the shapes, and that's good. Next time, try something simpler, okay?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, we'll go to the next one. Okay, I'm not sure whose this is, but and I don't know
And
if
Speltz. Anne's here. Anne Speltz.
Ann.
Hi, yeah, this is Anne.
I'm so sorry to make you wait all this time, but
That's okay.
here we are. Look, I love this. That's really well done and very interesting. Variety of shapes and architectural, aspects to it. Difficult, challenging, and you pulled it off. Okay. My eye kind of wishes that the painting stopped here, because in competition with this interesting complexity and variety up here, we've got this down here. And the lower part of the painting is so strong in contrast and edge and shape, and the fact that it's kind of from this point of view, not quite sure what that is. The foreground is in competition with the rest of the painting.
That was my conclusion too, Stuart.
Yeah.
When I finished, by the time I finished it.
Yeah, I think you could just cut it off.
Cut it off.
Or paint over this, and maybe just a couple of suggestions of, a building down here, but smaller, not as sharp edged, not as dominant, not as, that's really the only thing I have to say about this. Because the main thing is kind of interesting and painted well, right? You got kind of it's a kind of a pyramid, but it's not symmetrical. So yeah, that's really all I have to say.
Okay, thanks, Stuart.
Yeah. All right, this is the last one, right?
Last one, Stuart, and I don't know if she's here.
I don't either. And it's 9 o'clock. This is 2 hours already. Oh, my dear.
But it's great, Stuart. It's such a good critique. Everyone is saying what a good critique. I'm getting all these messages. So have at it.
Thank you all for listening to me. It's pleasing to me. And I'm happy to do it again. I love doing this. So I'm really glad to get out and paint with everybody. Okay, so this is Nina's painting. I saw her begin the painting. I didn't see her as she was getting to the end. We don't have to say a lot about this because Nina is in my class and I can talk to her about it in the class at class time if she brings in the painting. But again, I think we're dealing with a values issue here, where I know that she was standing in the shadow of this building on the right. This building was casting a shadow on the sidewalk, and we had the probably the shadow cast this way. The umbrellas were in the light. Okay, I think there's probably some light on the street back here. But what's happened with the kind of confusion in the values is that this is starting to look like a nocturne, right? We've got a dark sky, a dark sidewalk, dark building there, dark whatever. And we have a kind of a light here, which appears to be almost like a lantern at night. And that's really the result of the confusion of the values. And it's something that can happen to all of us for sure, especially as we chase things. And so I imagine she was thinking, well, this isn't bright enough. I'll make this dark. And then this looked too bright relative to that, so this got dark. And then, you know, it can be a cascade of, you know, one thing leads to another, and before you know it, you've got a kind of a muddy painting, or a painting that looks like a cloudy day when it's a sunny day, or looks like a sunny day when it's a cloudy day. And it's that confusion in the value, it's really primarily of the values. It's where everything goes wrong in our paintings, in my paintings included. It's going to be in the values and the separation of the values and the big composition and treatment of values. Okay, that's really all I got to say. And I'd be happy to answer questions or chat more, but it's 9 o'clock at night, and I think we all have had enough of me, right?
It was a great critique, Stuart. It really was. And I think everyone enjoyed it, and people are only leaving now. And the recording, it has gotten dark. The recording will be available in about a week or so once I send it off to Muriel in Virginia, and people can find it on our YouTube channel and watch it again.
Okay, excellent.
And actually we will. Thank you very much, Stuart. I know it was long, but it was very useful, very helpful.
You're
Thanks, Stuart.
Happy to do it. Talk to you guys later.
Stuart.
Thank you so much, Stuart. Good night.
See you guys.
Thank you, Stuart. It was great.